All right, so the source we're digging into today lays out a pretty stark choice. It says that if you're under 30, you're basically being funneled into one of two futures. You're either going to be a church mouse, always scrambling for scraps, or you're going to be part of this future elite, quietly building your own empire. So, what are the 12 habits that actually separate these two paths? Well, let's break it down.
So, right off the bat, the source draws a massive line in the sand. On one side, you've got the church mouse. This is the person who works for a paycheck, saves what the source calls fake money, and follows all the standard advice. But on the other side, that's the future elite. They're busy building an asset empire, and their money is working for them. The crazy part? The source says you're already on one of these paths, whether you know it or not.
And this is why it's such a big deal, especially right now. See, the whole argument is that being young is like a double-edged sword. It can either be your absolute greatest asset for building wealth, or it can be your biggest liability if you waste it following the wrong rulebook. So the big question is, how do you make sure you're on the right path? Well, the source uses this really cool metaphor. It says you've got to find and tighten the screws loose in your financial IQ. It's not about little tips and tricks. It's about a total, fundamental rewiring of how you even think about money and wealth.
Okay, so where do we even begin with this whole rewiring process? The first step is actually unlearning. The source is super clear on this. Our school system teaches us pretty much nothing useful about real-world money. So let's dive into the first 3 habits, which are all about completely redefining 2 of the most basic concepts out there, money and assets.
This whole philosophy really boils down to a classic economic idea called Gresham's Law. And it's super simple, really. Bad money drives out good. What does that even mean? Well, it just means that if you've got 2 kinds of money, people will always get rid of the less valuable one and hang on tight to the one that has real, lasting value. So how does that idea from, hundreds of years ago apply to us right now? Well, here's the breakdown. Bad money, that's fiat currency, like the dollar, that can be printed into oblivion and loses its value over time. And good money, according to the source, that's what it calls God's money, physical gold and silver. And this right here gives us the first 2 habits of the elite. Habit 1, stack up that good money. Habit 2, stop saving the bad money. Simple as that. Okay, now this next part is designed to really mess with a core belief that most of us have. So I'm just going to ask you straight up. Following this logic we've been talking about, is the house you live in an asset? Think about it for a second. And here's the twist. According to this philosophy, the answer is a hard no. It's not an asset. See, the definition here is brutally simple. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket, period. And since your own home costs you money every single month, mortgage, taxes, repairs, it's a liability. And that's habit number 3. You have to truly understand that difference and then focus all your energy on acquiring real assets. So once you've totally redefined the basic terms, the next step is to redefine your own thinking. This is where we get into habits 4 and 5, and they are all about mindset. The argument here is powerful. The words you say to yourself can literally build or destroy your financial future. Just look at this phrase right here. I can't afford it. The source calls this the ultimate expression of a lazy mindset. And habit number 4 is to completely erase these words from your vocabulary. Why? Because the second you say them, you shut your brain down. It's like admitting defeat before the game has even started. But now, watch what happens when you just tweak it a little bit and turn it into a question. How can I afford it? This tiny little shift, which is habit number 5, is a total game changer. It does something incredibly powerful inside your head. That one question, it jumpstarts what the source calls your thought engine. It literally forces your brain to snap out of that passive, I can't mode, and into an active, problem-solving one. Your mind starts hunting for solutions, spotting opportunities, and coming up with creative ways to get the capital you need to buy those assets. Okay, so your definitions are straight, your mindset is in gear. Now it's time for the fun part, building. This next section is all about the actual tools and strategies that the future elite are using to build their wealth. We're going to cover the next 4 habits. So think of this as the builder's toolkit. It's got 4 essential habits. First up, habit 6. You got to learn to use good debt, and that means other people's money, or OPM, to buy assets. Then habit 7, you have to be absolutely obsessed with cash flow, not one-time capital gains. Next, habit 8.
Seek out real teachers, mentors who are actually playing the game, not just talking about it. And finally, habit 9, build a team around you that's way smarter than you are. And this table really just nails the difference in strategy, especially when we're talking about habit 7. On one side, you got the typical flipper. Their whole world is capital gains. They're looking for that one-time profit, which gets taxed heavily, by the way. But the elite strategy, it's all about cash flow. It's about creating that steady, recurring income from an asset you plan to hold forever, aiming for what they call an infinite return. It's a totally different game. Now, this next idea is pretty wild, and it goes against everything we're taught. In school, you get punished for making mistakes, right? But the source argues that out here, in the real world, avoiding mistakes is what actually makes you stupid. Trying to play it safe is the single riskiest thing you can do, because it means you never learn a thing.
So if making mistakes is how you get smart, how do you do it? Well, that's habit number 10, what the source calls the failing forward process. It's a simple 4-step loop. Step 1, you just do a real deal. Step 2, you're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. Step 3, you learn from those mistakes. And step 4, you get smarter. Then you do it all over again. It's this constant cycle of action and learning.
And that brings us to the final 2 habits. And honestly, these might be the most important of all. It's all about patience and having the right perspective. Because let's be real, none of these strategies mean anything if you don't have the right time horizon. This is the absolute opposite of a get-rich-quick scheme. Yeah, the source is crystal clear here. And this is habit number 11. You have to play the long game. We're not talking months or a couple of years. If you start young and you stay disciplined with these habits, the time frame we're looking at for real financial freedom is about 10 to 20 years.
And that leads us right into the 12th and final habit, which is all about how you keep score. You have to measure your wealth correctly. That means you stop obsessing over the daily price tag of your portfolio. That's a sucker's game. The real scoreboard is how many tangible assets you're accumulating. Ounces of gold, cash-flowing rental doors, profitable businesses. That's the only number that truly matters.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. After going through all these habits, everything from what money actually is, to changing the words you use, to learning by failing, which loose screw in your own financial IQ are you going to tighten up first?